Of Parliament's Tourism Committee has ordered an immediate stop to SA Tourism's pending sponsorship deal with the English Premiership team Tottenham Hotspur. SA Tourism was before Parliament today defending its decision to spend 300 million rand in each of the next 3 years to promote the country to the overseas tourism market. Lindsay Dentlinger has the details.
After initially being a no-show, Minister Lindiwe Sisulu arrived 4 hours later, but left again after 30 minutes without saying anything. She's since issued a statement to clarify her absence. Sisulu says she was at a cabinet meeting with the president and has taken umbrage that her apology was not read out to the committee. She has since returned to the meeting to answer MPs' questions.
The deal does not exist until several steps are followed. One of those steps is to get the permission of Treasury.
Sisulu says it's within the preserve of the board to find new tourism markets for South Africa, and they don't need her permission to do so. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And outgoing Eskom CEO Andre de Ruyter has described this year's load-shedding outlook as extremely bleak. De Ruyter was speaking at the Investing in African Mining Indaba in Cape Town this afternoon. He says this year will still be a difficult one in terms of the country's power supply.
But now you come to what is in the pipeline. And this is where we've seen significant and I think very far-sighted investments from a company like Seriti, for example. Eventually they're going to install 900 megawatts of wind and solar right in the heart of Mpumalanga's coal belt.
Gauteng will be cloudy tomorrow with spread showers and thunder showers. Joburg dropping to an overnight low of 16 degrees, peaking at 25. Pretoria 18 and 28. Vereniging 18 and 24. Lerato Huffela, Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News on 947. For more, click ewn.co.za.
MSW. You may begin to feel anxious or excited.
Honest, deliberate, engaging, uncensored.
High dosage administration can cause adverse reactions.
And most importantly, independent in mind.
This is a normal response. Are you ready?
Robert Marawa, live on 947.
It's a great goal, what a finish!
Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live. We keep making sporting history. Changing and re-engineering sports on the continent and the world.
Exactly 4 minutes after the hour, it is hashtag Marawa Sports Worldwide coming through live on 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and on Sowetan Live. We are an interactive show. 060-708-0484, 060-708-0484. Send us your WhatsApp voice notes, plenty on the go. If you're on the bull ring yesterday, share your experience, man. Something obviously exciting happening as far as SA20 is concerned. Maybe you've been a part of the many travels supporting your favorite team. I want to hear from you. Drop us a WhatsApp voice note 060-708-0484. That's another busy show that we do have in store for you tonight. I'll tell you all about what's happening hockey-wise in Pretoria, because one of the things that you need to be aware of is that South Africa is going to be blessed, especially on the women's sporting side, with the World Cups galore. And just in a second, we're going to be chatting to the Protea women's coach, Hilton Maring, standing by on the line to tell us about their preparedness. But maybe you can tell me about your expectation, what you've seen of our women's cricket team, and what kind of a chance do you think they stand in the World Cup? Remember, we haven't been that lucky when it comes to cricket and World Cups, whether it's the men's or the women that are playing. So do hit us up and let us know. What are your thoughts? What are your expectations? What are your questions?
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
The Premier League having accused Manchester City by breaching a slew of financial rules from 2009 to 2018. I can only bring in the help all the way from Manchester. We've got Manchester City correspondent Ian Cheeseman to be suspended, from playing league matches. And if it gets to that, Ian, do you have any sense when they could action that suspension?
And having spent over 4 years bringing this case to the attention of the world, who knows, it could be another 4 years before it's resolved. And obviously there's a range of punishments if City were to be found guilty: points deduction, expulsion from the Premier League, or fines. But City have released a very robust statement today welcoming the investigation.
Here's what you've missed out on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Let's go.
#MSW. Marawa Sports Worldwide Live.
In 3, 2, 1.
On 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live. #MSW.
All I can tell you is simply grab your cooler boxes, pack those picnic baskets, put on your sunscreen, shades, hats, because it's coming. T20, the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup, is upon us. I can tell you the weatherman has just been so good to us because there's been perfect weather. I think it's what the game of cricket actually needs. And to top it off, we are going to be the host nation. We kick off the tournament with the ever-fierce Sri Lanka. What you and I are asking is, are the ladies ready? Let's catch up with the head coach. Hilton Moring joins us ahead of the exceptional tournament. And we've seen them put in the hard yards as far as preparation is concerned. Hilton, thank you so much. What an honor having you on the Marawa Sports Worldwide. Good evening.
Good evening, Robert, and good evening to all your listeners.
Somebody was saying, are they ready? I'm like, I'm sure they are ready. Watching them prepare has made me even more confident. How's the coach feeling?
Very happy with the preparation, Rob. The preparation isn't exactly what we needed. And the good thing about it, we played against very good opposition, but we anticipate that, even the surface that we had is what we're going to get in the upcoming World Cup. But thus far, everyone is at a good run, and we're very happy with where the squad is now.
And obviously arriving in Cape Town, finalizing preparations, how close do you think you are?
If we have to play tomorrow, Rob, the ladies are ready. That's how happy we are with the preparation. And yesterday we played against England. It was a very good exercise for some of the players because we are in different wicket to what we got in East London. But the ladies responded well to the conditions, and we're happy with what we're seeing. And then that's why for us, we feel that we're on the right track. And then I'm looking forward to our last warm-up game against Pakistan tomorrow, and then going into the opening game.
Yeah, I'm glad you say that because tomorrow you do play Pakistan. Is that too close to your first official game, or is there enough rest time, or is that just enough loading that you've done?
No, it's not. It's not rough. I think you have a squad of 15. There's always an opportunity for players to play. I think the more players get in the middle, that's the best preparation they can get. So for us, we grab this opportunity. It's another opportunity for us to be able to make sure that if there's one or two things we still need to find out. But we're happy with where we are in tomorrow's game. I think we'll take it as it comes and then just make sure that we can fine-tune into the last game.
No pushovers, Sri Lanka coach. No pushovers again. Just tell me from your side, though, because you've got to manage expectation. You've got to manage players, the nerves, knowing that the entire world is watching this. And that importance of the opening game against Sri Lanka at Newlands and Cape Town.
I think you can feed off the crowd because of we anticipate a full house, and we know that the culture of cricket in these areas is very good. If they're going to come in their numbers, I think for us as the home team, we felt it how it felt when we played away, in World Cups, and how the host and the support being behind them, how they actually responded. So for us, it's for the players to go out there and enjoy it. I think the most important thing, once the first ball is bowled, and the preparation has been good, they can trust their skills and then go in there and entertain the crowd.
I mean, how much of your own cricketing experience do you then use? Because I know that although born in Kimberley, I think you played a lot of your domestic cricket in the Free State. You've been a worldly individual when it comes to that. How much of your own journey, Hilton, do you then apply and use as an example to the ladies?
No, you sit down with them and have conversations when needed, but a lot of these players that you normally encourage them to quickly find themselves as cricketers, to understand what the game is required and how they can make sure they maximize the opportunities, because I think at this level you want to take it one game at a time and make sure that when the right opportunity comes, they stay calm and then they can execute in the moment. But other than that, thoroughly a privilege, they must enjoy it and then make the best of an opportunity they get.
Would you say that in your illustrious journey in cricket, since your love for cricket came about, this is the biggest stage, this is the biggest moment for you individually?
It's always, in World Cups, it's always an honor, Rob, to represent your country. I think you can feel the goosebumps when you, at the anthems, this is who we're representing. A very proud sporting nation, and it's one of those that you cherish for the rest of your life. So, hence, when you have the players have the opportunity on the opening game, the first 11 that's going to play, they will have feed off the crowd and in the electrifying Newlands ground, and we know that on the day, what our players can do is just for them to settle the nerves first, and because the first game is always a tough game, because especially playing the opener, and we can leave nothing to chance on days like that to make sure that you stay calm, because at the end of the day, with everything that you work, and we're very happy what we see.
Yeah, I mean, not to be negative or anything, but you can't run away from social media. As the tournament goes on, you'll keep looking and saying, hey, what are South Africans saying on social media, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. The tag around South Africa, whether it's the men or the women, the chokers, as we become known. And here we are again, presented, Hilton, with an opportunity of playing on home soil. Does that do what to you? I don't even want to use the word pressure, because as professionals, pressure should be an everyday thing.
No, just being selected and being part of this squad is already pressure. And that's why I say that's for them. They should see. We see it as an opportunity, Rob, because every day, we are faced with different pressures in life. We come from different backgrounds. Now we have an opportunity to do something that we love in front of our home crowds and family. Is something that nobody can take away from the players. So it's, I think, for them to embrace it and feed of the opportunity that they get. And then I think at the end of the day, like I said, it's, when you're representing your country, there's always pressure. It's one of those that's not going to go away. It's part of the game. It's part of the job. But there's enough experience in the change room to know that when those kind of opportunities come, what is it that they need to do to make sure that they get the job done.
And obviously, for those who don't know, you won't just be sitting comfortably in Cape Town and playing all of the games there. What's the idea that you present to your players in terms of their preparedness? They're going to be on the road. That's something that they're used to. You'll be in Cape Town, and then you shift across to Gqeberha, then you go to Paul as well. How do you handle that training, keeping the focus? And I know sometimes there's interruptions that come with travel.
There's a lot that happen in between. That's why the biggest challenge that one would actually have is the in-between traveling. But like I said, we make sure that we take it one day at a time, and then post the first match, worry about the next. And then I think the traveling is one of those that where the medical team kicks in and make sure that regarding that recovery is key, because we know the turnaround is very short, to make sure that the players are ready for the next game. I think in far out of as that is concerned, we've been blessed with the medical team that make sure that they give the players the necessary recovery and rest for them to be able to do what they need to do. So in between, we take it one day at a time, and the good thing for us, Rob, is we don't need to acclimatize. It's coastal wickets and we're at home, so it makes traveling much easier.
Yeah, you would have hoped for a more positive start to this campaign, though. You couldn't have not seen all the headlines. Everybody talking about the Fanikar situation and how she got left out of the squad. Do you think that you've been able to manage that, kind of get it out the way? I watched your press conference yesterday and I thought, the ladies handled it well. Captain handled it very, very well in terms of where you are now. There's personal opinions that still sways in and around the team itself. But do you think you've done enough now to say, okay, let it rest?
I don't think you'll ever do enough, Rob, because, like I say, it's a people's team. People will always have their views and opinions, how they see things. We feel that what we've done is in the best interest of the team, and we know where we are and what we need to do. I think from the mental side and where the team is, readiness, we put it to bed, and it's something that we feel that as a team now we're moving forward and we can focus at the task at the end.
A couple of senior players have retired, though. I mean, I saw Lizelle Lee, Minion Dupree as well. They do leave a void. The big question here, Hilton, is what kind of void do they leave? And are there plans as well to fill those gaps with equally top-class players?
No, they'll always. It's not players you can replace overnight, Rob, because of the quality and experience they possess. But in saying that, hence we have a lot of youngsters that we always incorporate within our camps and give opportunities where there's an opportunity to play within tours, and then we take them in different tours when we travel around playing the bilateral games that we play against other nations. So they can slowly gain the experience while the experience is around, because you never know when these opportunities come, when senior players decide that it's time now, they're hanging their boots, and then there's somebody that can take over. But the only way you'll know how ready they are and how good they are, because they got the quality. We've seen it at practices, at training, is when they give an opportunity in the model, and it's for them to show the world what they can do.
I'm just going to mention one player. You can help me with more, but I've just watched Chloe take off. I've seen her play games like she's never played before, and there has been that surge. What do you attribute that to?
No, it's like I said, the maturity of the player, and I think the leadership role that she's also finds herself in, and she understands that what is required, because it's good to see her come of her own, because she already possesses the skill. And she's been complimented by a couple of good players around her, and I think, like I said, the focus has been very good in the camp. Players are looking forward to go out there and represent the country, and it's one of those we're not taking for granted. We know that our supporters are very passionate and unforgiving at times, but as a team, we know what we need to do to make sure that we get the first win.
Before I let you go, you've said a lot about the team. What about Hilton? What are your personal aims and ambitions? What it is that you hope to achieve with the set of ladies that you have?
It's been a tough, long journey, Robert. I think for myself, to see the ladies left the World Cup representing 60 million South Africans will be the proudest moment that I will have in my life, and be able to be part of it and be able to have a contribution towards that, changing lives and impacting lives indirectly and directly, would have been one that I think I'll take with me for the rest of my life. Should I entice you and the team that if you win, you get X? I'm listening, Rob. I'll whisper that to you during the break. But you know what? All our hearts, all the attention is going to be focused on the first match, Hilton. And I certainly want to wish you the best of luck. I think you got a very talented group of players. One that can really bring the World Cup to the host nation, which is right here in South Africa. So best of luck. Do send our good luck wishes to the ladies. Will do that, and thanks a lot for having me. Thank you so much there. That's the coach of the Proteas, the women's team, as they prepare for the big one on Friday. Hilton Morang, the Proteas women's coach. Stand by, because after the break we'll tell you about on this day in history. But most importantly, the world has been switching their attention to what's going on in Turkey and Syria. Devastation. The numbers continue to rise. A Ghanaian football player was trapped there. In fact, there's even a South African player, but we'll find out about his plight when we come back from this short break.
#MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live at the same time. #MSW.
This is you opening a paycheck. We know you get them by email now.
Rise FM and Sowetan Live at the same time. #MSW. Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Not only was Oshman a future Stellenbosch legend, but a national asset too. Sadly passed away this past Saturday. And on the line we do have the Stellenbosch FC CEO, Rob Bernardi, who joins me.
You know, we're all devastated at hearing that news. It's, you don't want to believe it when you hear the news.
Clearly a highly ambitious young man.
Winning the Diski Championship, going over to the UK, first starting debut against the Lander Pirates at Donny Craven Stadium, man of the match. 2 weeks later, scores from centre back to become our youngest ever goal scorer. Gets called up to the under-20 squad for South Africa. They're so impressed with him that they make him the leader and he captains the team. So it was just, just incredible what he's done.
It's been a long day.
#MSW.
Four minutes after the hour. #MSW Marawa Sports Worldwide, live on 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and on Sowetan Live, wherever you're listening, countrywide, continentally, or the world. We are interactive. We'll tell you about the lineups for tonight's matches. We just received the starting lineup, so stick around for that. Cup action. But also a worrying time. The former Newcastle winger Christian Atsu. The good news is he's been found alive after being buried under rubble in the earthquake that has hit Turkey. The 31-year-old Ghana international who's now playing for and in the Turkish Super League side, Hatayspor, was said to be missing after teammates as well as members of the club's technical staff had reportedly been pulled from the rubble. And that is why we're going to be heading off to Morocco now to get the latest from one of the leading African journalists, Gary L. Smith. African sports journalist joins me from Morocco. Gary, thank you so much for your time. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for having me, Rob.
It's been a while since we have not even said a word to each other, but I understand. There's been a lot happening, and we had to reach out to you.
Right? I know, right? Yeah.
We had to reach out to you for this one. We were so worried last night when the Ghanaian FA issued the statement that they did about the fact that he was missing. Give us a bit of background, paint a picture of what has happened so far.
Well, Christian has been off the radar for Ghana, remember, first of all, he was the 2015 MVP at the Africa Cup of Nations. So this is just a few years after he had come into the Ghana national team, and he had been, for all intents and purposes, very, very good. His being good was so good that you had clubs like Proteas, Anaheim, where he went on loan when he was at Chelsea, really, and then he was at Chelsea, and then he was at, Everton, and quite a number of clubs have always wanted his signature. And for the Ghana national team, he's always been electric, he's been quick, he's been great, and so on. But he's been away from the Ghana national team for like the last 3 years or so. And when I say away, I mean he's not even been considered for selection, because Christian has gone through a bit of few personal issues that have really impacted on his football to the extent, or it's been as bad as, right, even when he went to Saudi Arabia, he struggled for form. That is how bad it got. Look at the disparity between where he was maybe about 5 years ago and, where he currently is right now, which is why last September, when he was able to sort his head out, his issues out, and he got a club, many people were happy, and he got a club in Turkey for Hatayspor. So that's the background. He had not really, he was slowly coming into his own. And this weekend, he scored a 97th minute goal to win the game for Hatayspor.
Wow.
They go to the try a free kick, which used to be his stock in trade, before he started having a few psychological issues and blah blah blah. So the team is happy. They go to whichever apartments that they are in. It's on the 9th floor of the building that eventually collapsed. Several people in Ghana spoke to him, congratulated him. Some of the ex-players even called him because, it was on the internet through the various bloggers and stuff that, Christian has scored, and so on. The last contact many had with him was around midnight of that day. Then I woke up, right, on Monday morning. I was just going to drop my son at school, put my radio on the BBC, and the first thing I heard was that Turkey have had an earthquake, magnitude 7.8. It didn't even cross my mind, to be very honest with you, like Christian was there, because it was early in the morning, until a couple hours later, one of my Turkish journalist colleagues reached out on WhatsApp and said, hey, it seems Christian was affected. And I'm like, Christian was affected in what? For what? And he says, well, the earthquake we had, it seems Christian is still under the rubble. I'm like, oh, shoot. So then it started becoming a news item, and the rest is history. Attention from the national newspapers, the national media, blah, blah, blah. And because of the kind of person he is, it was absolutely no surprise that his former clubs, Newcastle, Chelsea, and others. Or, I know, once these clubs start tweeting and talking about you, it quickly became a global news item. So, yeah, that's essentially what happened. And there's been it shuts down everything in Ghana. It shuts down everything in Ghana. Like, no news item was moving because everyone became so anxious. You turned on the TV and there was an image of Christian Atsu on, that thing that TV stations like to do, maybe when an election is coming, a World Cup countdown is coming, that sort of thing. You're like, wow, this is huge. The president of Ghana soon issues a statement. The former president issues a statement. The Catholic Bishops' Conference issue a statement. And this is stuff that happens to people like Pele, and it was so big. And I've been trying to think, why did Christian get this kind of treatment? And I'm sure you're going to ask that pretty shortly.
Yeah, I was going to say that it sounds strange because you just painted a picture of a player that's been left out of the national team for the past 3 years or so. Although he was a key figure for the Black Stars, he was a key figure as far as Ghana is concerned. Getting 65 caps is a lot. And you look at the period in which he got the 65 caps, Rob, and you realize he was a whiz kid when he came. He literally came in and got his debut at, I think, 20 or so. And from his very first game at the Kumasi Sports Stadium, and for those who don't know the player we are talking about, think of literally Leo Messi, the black version. Left-footed, short, quick as can be, fleet-footed. The ball never leaves his feet. He's got a cracking shot about him. He can score from close range, score long ranges, the whole 9 yards. This sort of player. And he's one of the most exciting talent Ghana had seen and all that. But when he started having his issues, he really didn't get out of the public consciousness because he is this guy who also is extremely popular on social media. So his humility was such that, Rob, imagine South Africa's top sports journalist. He was always on the pages of your Robert Marawa. Think of all the guys. So, people who are updating news, he was always there cracking a joke. So all the followers on Facebook and Twitter knew that, okay, this guy is not available, but he's always been in the public consciousness. Then, even better, somewhere around 4 years ago, when he went on off-season breaks, he first set up a foundation. He did not put it in his name, so it will be later. Long into the life of this foundation that we will even get to know that Crime Check Ghana, that's the name of the foundation. Crime Check Ghana belongs to Christian Atsu. Now, you know what they do? Now, they hire the best lawyers in Ghana, Rob. What do? They go to the prisons, look for those with the most vulnerable cases, go to courts, and all expense paid, battle the court for them, and freeze them. Can you imagine this? So, on social media, all of us could see this foundation called Crime Check, and all they did was they go into the most the biggest prisons, the most crowded prisons. They look for those whose cases are, that sort of case where, this somebody has been jailed for 20 years because he stole a chicken, that sort of stuff. Yeah, or somebody who was so-called guilty for something but didn't afford to take the case to court, and then they just said, okay, you look guilty, we're going to put you in jail for X number of years, and yet you find that you are nowhere near, the scene of the crime.
Those sorts of cases. You have just painted the typical case that his foundation. So it will be about 2 years and he insisted that the public did not know. So it was one time that he came back from off season and he went to visit about 6 or 7 of the prisoners, whose case was being battled publicly on social media, before people started to connect the dots that why is Christian, and then somebody mentioned that it's because the foundation is for him. So, that was the great thing. He was always around the prisons, and he always said in every interview, Rob, that no matter what anybody has done, every one of us deserves a second chance. So I reckoned that this is the real reason why his case was so popular, why people, it was literally like the entire country of Ghana was on its knees praying for this guy.
And it spilled over, to be very honest, Gary, because we got worried. Yeah, there might be rivalry. You know how we were winding each other up before the Africa Cup of Nations, and Ghanaians got upset, South Africans got upset. But at the end of the day, we know and we understand banter. We understand what that is. But there's always a deep love, affection, and fondness between the nations, especially when it comes to sport. And Christian would have been no stranger. I mean, he's somebody who has contributed a great deal. I was looking at it during the day, 107 games for Newcastle, had a spell at Chelsea, had a spell at Everton, had a spell at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
So you're not talking about a pushover.
Yeah.
You described him the way you described him, and I cannot even change that way because you're absolutely correct. So I think deservedly so, but one of the major concerns, though, is the reporting around the fact that he's been found and he was found alive, and I was happy with that. They just didn't give the extent, what they put in inverted commas. They say he's been found with injuries. So collapsing buildings are not lightweight things. So found with injuries of what extent? Do we know that fact?
Yes, his right foot. A few reports we got, from people close said his right foot was injured. But thankfully, one of the people who represents him here was granted an interview to, it was very interesting because he didn't want to speak to any of the media in the city. So he spoke to the media in Christian Atsu's hometown. But you know the way the internet is. The interview found its way onto the internet and we got wind of it anyway.
Yeah.
So apparently his right foot is injured, but it seemed like it's something that will take a bit of time. But according to this person, it's not something that will stop him from playing football. So it will take a bit of time, but he will come back. Remember, it was said that he was on the 9th floor of the building. So Hatayspor found all its players and staff except for 2, Christian Atsu and the sporting director of the club. So, it's human nature for people to care about a case when their own is involved. This morning when we got the news that Christian had been found, interest in Ghana quickly cooled and people stopped looking at it. But unfortunately, as we speak, the sporting director of the club has still not been found. And if you watch anything about National Geographic or any of those detective series, you know that if you are not found in the first 24 hours of a disaster, usually with each passing minute after the 24-hour mark, hope slowly or quickly diminishes by the second. And we are praying against hope that the sporting director can also be found, as Christian was found 26 hours. Christian was found 26 hours after the earthquake.
Yeah, you might watch those. I don't, but I've seen the news, Gary, before saying that after 3 weeks, a miracle of some sort would happen and a person would be found still alive. Yeah. So let's hold on to that. You know what? Can I drag you just after the break? I was going to let you go now, but I know that there's an important one regarding South Africa's Percy Dow. So I just want to quiz you about that, seeing that you're all the way up in Morocco and this has everything to do with that part of the world. So Gary L. Smith, you follow him on social media, on Twitter, a man who's always in the middle, in the thick of things, of all that is happening when it comes to the football side of the world in and around the continent. We'll be back after the break. Stick around, #MSW.
Marawa Sports Worldwide, changing and re-engineering sports on the continent and the world.
We've got Manchester City correspondent Ian Cheeseman.
From the supporters and people who comment on the club, this has come a little bit out of the blue, albeit that I've been very well aware that the Premier League have been doing an investigation for quite a while. But because it's been so long and so quiet, I think a lot of people thought that the investigation had gone away. The feeling is that the Premier League have timed this to announce this investigation into Manchester City to try and head off any criticism they might get from the British government about not policing their own football game. So that's the reason why the timing has happened.
Hashtag MSW. Hashtag MSW.
Yeah, voice notes that are coming through in response to the conversation that we're currently having with Gary L. Smith. If you're wondering where you are, it is hashtag MSW Marawa Sports Worldwide at 947. We're live on Vuma FM, Rise FM, and on Sowetan Live.
Hi, Robert. Greetings to you and all the sports lovers. This is Joy from Watville in Benoni. Yeah, it's good news that Christian has been found alive, and we thank God for that. But nonetheless, condolences to all the families that have lost their beloved ones. Thanks for the show. Sharp.
Yeah, absolutely. Numbers continue to surge as they try and make inroads as far as the rubble is concerned. And yeah, our thoughts with the families. An international call for help. Wandile Mtana on Twitter says Ghanaian people have benefited from Christian Atsu through his kind heart. He has freed some prisoners and also donated to some orphanages as well. Says God didn't forget about him. Absolutely. And we've been getting a thorough breakdown here with Gary L. Smith, African sport correspondent and journalist, coming through live from Morocco, as loud and as clear as possible right here on hashtag MSW. And I think as we were in the break, you kind of sent me something. I don't know if that has gone onto the many social media platforms. Is that on YouTube? Describe that, Gary, for us.
Yes, it's on YouTube. What I sent you was one of our senior colleagues who happened to know Christian Atsu's grandmother. So apparently he went to see her. She's a 71-year-old, and you can see her in the video, and the reaction to the news that her baby boy is doing well and fine. So, yeah.
That is good news. I'll share that on the social media platforms across all the platforms that we do have here on WhatsApp, as well as hashtag MSW. I think it's a great bit of good news that you are able to share with us there, Gary, and I highly appreciate that because any good news right now is needed. And one of the main reasons I asked you to hold on has to do with the South African football star, Percy Tau, who's preparing for one of the biggest games of his career, and that is against Real Madrid in the semi-finals of the FIFA Club World Cup as well. So the Al Ahly team are going to be playing against European champions at Morocco's Prince Moulay Abdellah Stadium. That's going to be tomorrow, I think, South African time, if I'm not mistaken. Take me through that, and what are the expectations from our very own Percy Tau?
Well, it's a big game, and I landed in Morocco myself this morning. I would be very honest with you. Now, when the draw for the Club World Cup came out, I was deciding on when to come because I knew, of course, Real Madrid would be playing tomorrow. And I was hoping, looking at the trajectory of the tree, the qualification tree, that it would be Al Ahly versus Real Madrid for many reasons. But obviously because of what I do as an African football person who loves African football, to see arguably, and I don't think it's arguable, is it, Rob, that Al Ahly is the biggest, most decorated African football club of all time.
No argument.
And even for a while, no argument. Even for a while, if I'm not mistaken, they held more trophies than any other club in the world until very, very recently. So Al Ahly is a huge institution, and for them to be playing again, arguably the most successful club period in the world in Real Madrid, was a game that I was not going to miss. So I was really thrilled that I was able to make it in time today, and predictably, there's been an influx of people coming into Morocco to come and see that this is a historic game on many many, many levels. Al Ahly already are the club that have played in more games at the FIFA Club World Cup than any other already, that they are playing Real Madrid at this time. Al Ahly are in an ascendancy. Sundowns, of course, has been one of the best teams of the African continent in the last few years. But if you follow Sundowns' trajectory, you will tell that Al Ahly are making a very slow but sure comeback into the space of things. And Al Ahly, for the benefit of listeners, are back into the Club World Cup, which they have not been in for a couple of years, by mistake, if you like. Because the Club World Cup, again, as listeners may know, is literally for the best clubs in the world, a.k.a. the clubs that have won their continental competitions in the year under review. Al Ahly are not the current African champions, but they are in Morocco because of a recent change to the FIFA rules. Previously, if you didn't win the Club World Cup, you could not play. But in the last couple of years, FIFA says that, okay, if you host the Club World Cup in your country, then the league leader in your country will be rewarded, or your country will be rewarded for taking up the cost and everything by your league leader or your country's top flight league leader being given an opportunity, right? Or reigning champion, sorry, not league leader, the reigning champion of your country will be given the opportunity to play in the Club World Cup as well. Now, here is the case where in Morocco, Wydad were champions of Africa for the last year. Not just that, they were also the reigning champion of the Moroccan League. So, based on that, the rules say that if that happens where the same club is the champion of Africa or the champion of their continent and also the reigning league champion, then the other slots will go to the runner-up in the continental club competition, and that runner-up was, of course, Al Ahly, which is how they have come here. And you guess what? The reigning African champion, Wydad Casablanca, has been knocked out of the Club World Cup, and Al Ahly, who were second and slipped in because of this rule, are currently in here. And would you guess their luck? They are going to play Real Madrid. So, on many levels, it's a divine twist of fate for Percy Tau, because one, if the old rules had persisted, he would have been nowhere close to tomorrow's game. But here he is on the cusp of what could be probably the biggest game of his career, and it's going to be in Rabat tomorrow. Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought in that detail again, Gary, because it is important. People still carry the old rules in their heads and they haven't quite gotten their heads around what is happening now. But a lot of the Sundowns fans would deem me not the right person to be sitting here and chatting to you if I don't ask. Then according to that, does that mean next year then Sundowns will be in that position?
How? Technically, yes. Technically, yes. So you are saying that next year the Club World Cup will be hosted in South Africa?
Hey, we're exploring all opportunities here. We are going according to these new rules. And new rules, whatever they are, be it VAR, goal line technology, you name it, we have to explore. We have to ask the questions. We have to nail it so that it kind of makes sense to us. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically it. Yes, if that happens, that's basically it.
But also a major platform, though, Kerry. I mean, you talk about Percy Tau and how he lands up there, and I'm looking at it maybe potentially, possibly as one of the only opportunities that he does have now to get back to playing in mainline Europe, if that is what he wants. We saw him even more exposed playing for Club Brugge. We saw him more exposed playing for Anderlecht because, those clubs, they managed to make it into the UEFA Champions League, for example. Then he gets to go and play at the Santiago Bernabeu, for example. He gets to go and play against PSG. So that might be in the back of his mind if there are thoughts of him exiting Al Ahly.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what Egyptians always say, and in particular fans of Al Ahly. Rob, let's be honest. If you were playing for Brighton or Club Brugge or Anderlecht, it is quite unlikely that he would be playing against Real Madrid in the Club World Cup. Yeah, the lack of the draw may be that he may play against them in the Champions League, which is possible. But Al Ali will tell you that it is only clubs like us who can give you this kind of exposure. And that's why they are, as, quote unquote, in a positive way, an arrogant club, because they are not big, they are huge. Al Ali is comparable. The kind of respect Al Ali command globally is incredible. I mean, sometimes we're in Africa and we think, oh yeah, Al Ali there, but the sort of organization behind them, the kind of support base they have in the Arab world, in the Middle East, it's incredible. Look, at the Club World Cup here, it's like Al Ali have been at home in every single game. The Moroccan supporters have been coming in their thousands to support Al Ali. That's how big Al Ali is, because of, success begets success. The more successful you are, the more fans you have, regardless of what club or what country you are in. And these are two countries that, on a political level, are not really friends. Just a brief geographical or geopolitical lesson. You know the way in SADC, you literally can take your South African passport, Zambian passport, Zimbabwean passport, and move into any SADC country without any, visa or whatever, because it's a sub-regional thing that you have. The same thing is in CECAFA. We have that in ECOWAS, in West Africa.
Yeah.
In Northern Africa, it's not like that. You literally can move from some West African, East African countries into Morocco, into Egypt, into Algeria without a visa. But for each other, even though they are neighbors, they are not friends. Morocco, Egypt, you need a visa from Morocco before you can enter Egypt, and vice versa. You need a visa from Egypt before you can enter Algeria. They, on a political level, they totally lose each other.
Sure.
So for Al Ali to be commanding this kind of support here shows you once again, we say football is a beautiful game, as the late Pele loved to say. It literally transcends all these petty political squabbles, and Al Ali will be expected to get an incredible 40 to 50,000 reception. Real Madrid are going to be the underdog, if you can call it that, tomorrow.
Oh, you've just raised the roof as far as the excitement is concerned ahead of that game. Gary L. Smith, always an honor, my friend. Always a pleasure to chat to you. You colored things beautifully, and you make the beautiful game even more beautiful. Thank you so much for chatting to us. Enjoy the game.
Thank you for having me, Ngiyabonga. Mwah.
Thank you so much, Ngiyabonga Nami. That's Gary L. Smith, African sport journalist and correspondent, coming through live from Morocco. If that didn't whet your appetite, I don't know then what will.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Not only was Oshman a future Stellenbosch legend, but a national asset too. Sadly passed away this past Saturday. And on the line, we do have the Stellenbosch FC CEO, Rob Bernardi, who joins me.
We're all devastated at hearing that news. It's, you don't want to believe it when you hear the news.
Clearly a highly ambitious young man.
Winning the Diski Championship, going over to the UK, first starting debut against the Land of Pirates at Donny Craven Stadium, man of the match. 2 weeks later, scores from centre back to become our youngest ever goal scorer. Gets called up to the under-20 squad for South Africa. They're so impressed with him that they make him the leader and he captains the team. So it was just, just incredible what he's done.
It's been a long day.
#MSW.
Evening, Rob. It's the Bohoye, Rob. It's not looking good for Black Leopards in the Motsepe Foundation Championship. They seem to be changing coaches more than they're collecting points. But the battle for promotion is quite intense, with Kesrick, the new franchise that acquired the status of Free State Stars, sitting in the pole position, followed by Polokwane City. And what is quite pleasing, Rob, one has to compliment Sean Bartlett for the turnaround strategy of building a very formidable team in a short space of time, having collected that crucial away point against Polokwane City and sitting comfortably in that third position. But it's worrying that JDR, they are back in what they normally do, Rob, dropping points at the crucial stage of the league, and this is what they've been doing for the past 3 seasons, Rob, dropping points at the crucial stage of the league. Thank you so much, Rob. It's quite intense, very interesting in that side of the land, Rob. Thank you so much.
Taboko, thank you so much indeed for turning our attention to what is happening in the Motsepe Foundation Championship. Castric Stars top in that table. Polokwane City sitting in second, as well as Cape Town Spurs. Sean Bartlett, as he says, doing the job. Yeah, that draw against Polokwane City certainly set them on a good spin. 31 points that they do have. But I think his main concern was around Black Leopards. Remember what happened to Jomo Cosmos. Remember what happened to the likes of Santos. Where are they now? Hey, former big teams in the PSL. So Black Leopards sit 3 points adrift from TTM. Rock bottom of that division. All right, Tabang Munari is going to be coming into the studio tomorrow. We look forward to that conversation on Thursday. Prepare yourselves for the CEO of Supersport United, Stan Matthews. And on Friday, we got another massive legend coming into the studio as well. I don't want to say I didn't tell you, so I'm telling you right now. Don't miss that for your life. We'll be back tomorrow.
Marawa Sports Worldwide Live.
In 3, 2, 1.
On 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live.
#MSW.